to have about 10 minutes, for others to join us. And of course, while we are doing that, for those of us that are online, please feel free to leverage our chat box, share with us where you're joining us from. And of course, my name is Omolola. I work with PAC Holdings in the capacity of the brand and corporate communications lead. And of course, today I have a co moderator in person of Jennifer, who is a trust officer with PAC Trustees. Speaking about today's conversation, of course, the topic is smart trust, the future of estate planning. And for me, I am personally excited. I'm looking forward to, nuggets and, of course, insights on how to plan my legacy. And, most of the time, when we hear things like legacy, people are always thinking about the older people. No, even those of us that we are young and upcoming, it's very important that we also understand the importance of planning our estate or our legacy. And so I am looking forward to all of this. I can see people are joining, the numbers are going up, but of course I don't want to say too much. I have so much expectation, and I think Jennifer is in the best position to share with us what to expect today. Jennifer, please share with us.
Hi, good afternoon, Omolola. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's event. Yes, Omolola, you're right on this one. For me, I am excited for today's session. We'll be talking about smart trust and the future of estate planning. Considering that the traditional method of estate planning is rapidly changing. There's been a lot of changes thanks to technological advancements and the changing needs of clients. So imagine where you no longer worry about your legacy being just preserved, but one that thrives beyond generations to come. So today we'll be talking about smart trust. So smart trust, this approach moves beyond the traditional method of planning. It's more like a holistic and integrated approach that would leverage on digital tools, data-driven insights, and strategic advisory services. So yes, I'm excited about this one. I look forward to the speakers engaging us better on this one. Thank you, Omodola.
That is well said. To be honest, from what you said, I mean, I believe the conversation is going to be, around how you can synergize the past, the present, and the future, right? And of course, from what you said, we'll be talking about how to leverage technology, to prefer solutions for, proper legacy planning, estate planning. Now, again, these words that we are throwing around, estate planning, legacy planning, all of these things. Yes, there are a number of persons that may not, be familiar with all of these things. If you don't mind, Jennifer, can you share with me what you mean by estate planning? Being the trust experts that you are, what is estate planning? When you say estate, I'm thinking about probably buying a house in an estate or something, or probably I don't even know, saying, okay, I want to erect a monument of some sort so that people can remember me. And so again, it would be nice if you can share with us, what estate planning is, what legacy planning is, while we wait for others to join.
Yeah, Omolola. So when we talk about estate planning, it's just a way for individuals to put in place to plan their future, to plan their estate. So it's not just about real estate or having real estate. Estate planning can come in handy, and you have various tools in which you can use to plan your estate. Estate doesn't necessarily mean you having a building. It can even include your cash in bank, your RSA. It can even include your jewelries or anything you can think about that it's just your assets. So estate planning is a way you put in these things together to put it in place for your for the generations to come. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
Okay, honestly, now I think that's a big deal because in all of the things that you've mentioned, one way or the other, individuals would have this assets. It could be jewelry, like you said. It could even be what's in our bank. Well, I don't know. Mine is zero naira for now, but again, the idea is to ensure that yes, measures are put in place, right, to ensure continuity, to also ensure, a form of inheritance. And anyways, that being said, I believe that yes, our speakers are going to, deal on the subject. I mean, they're going to have, insights in this conversation. And of course, we'll be able to have a better understanding of what smart trust is about, what the future of estate planning is saying, what to look forward to. And I want to believe that, yes, our expectations will be met. Of course, please, I would like to encourage our speakers to share whatever expectations that they have, for this conversation, in the chat box. Please, let's leverage the chat room. And of course, yes, we are going to start officially by 12:10. But again, before then, Jennifer, if you don't mind, I want to believe you're on the other side.
Yes, Omolola.
Now, okay, I thought about the panelist for the day. What do you think we should expect from the lineup of our excellent panelists for the day?
Speaking about the panelists today and what they have for us. So our expectation to be to get better insights on how we can leverage on digital tools to plan our estates better and get strategic business advisory as well while we are planning to get our things to put our estates in place. So I believe that the speakers, we are going to share so much insight on this today. So I can't wait to hear what they have for us. Thank you, Amola.
Right. So, of course, we're looking forward to having our speakers join us. I would just to check in, with us. Of course, please, it's very important if there are people that you've actually shared this, conversation with, please, we can let them know that we're live and they can join us now. Of course, the idea is we want to carry everyone along and we want to ensure that, you don't miss out. And of course, your loved ones don't miss out from the conversation. That being said, I wouldn't want to take too much of our time. And so we will just proceed accordingly, regardless of 12:10 or not. And so at this point, I would like to invite Jennifer to kickstart the webinar properly. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Amalola. So good afternoon, everyone, once again, and I welcome you on this webinar session. So for us to begin today, I would like to introduce Mr. Ibrahim Abimbola. So Mr. Ibrahim Abimbola is a senior vice president and head of business development at PAC Trustees Limited. So Mr. Ibrahim Abimbola will be giving us his opening remark to kick off this event. Thank you. Mr. Ibrahim, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good afternoon. Welcome you all to this webinar session. I would like to, first of all, appreciate our GCE, the likes of Mr. Chris Shafi, and also likes to recognize the presence of our DGMD, the person of Mr. Sina Alimi, and also likes to recognize Directorate, person of Mr. Harry Pokorua, and also likes to recognize the presence of, and likes to also recognize the presence of our Abegu Hebdi that actually pilot the affairs of PAC Trustee. Yeah, let me just give a brief historical background of PAC Trustee. PAC Trustee is a wholly owned subsidiary of PAC Holding, which was incorporated in 2018 and started full business in 2019. Yes, of course, we are registered licensed by Security and Estate Commissions, and our major line of business is corporate trust, public trust, and private trust. Yeah, the purpose of this webinar of today is to talk about the smart trust. So when we say smart trust, we are looking about the futures of estate planning by using of technology to drive our process. So we expect these webinar presentations to be engaging and to be wholesome with the likes of the guest or speaker that we have. They are all experts in the area of their field and employ all the participants and the attendees to participate actively and make their day, make of today's session more engaging. It's going to be interactive. So you will know much about what PAC Trustee is all about and various products that I have. in terms of maybe subscribing to our diaspora trust, using technologies to navigate it through the tip of your hand. Also, you need to know about our educational trust, subscribing for your guys or children. You also need to know about celebrity trust and the likes of living trust, creating wills without even, hassles. So these are the things you expect to know, to hear, and with the in-depth knowledge and expert from our guest speaker, from Segun Aremu to Ibukunoluwa, down to Emeka. So with this, let me just hand over to Omalauju and Jennifer, who are anchoring this webinar session. Thank you all. Feel free, enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim. And of course, from all that you've said, it's one thing that stood out for me is the fact that we're about to learn how to do it ourselves, right? And of course, leverage solutions, technological solutions, in ensuring that our legacy is in place. And so there's so much to look forward to. Now we're about to move into the, proper discussion, the panel session. And before, we dive into that session, I would like to introduce our guest speaker. First on the list is Mr. Segun Aremu, who is the founder of Peculiar Innovative Consulting Services, Nigeria Limited, and who is a seasoned investment management professional with over a decade of experience in financial services. Now, his portfolio is quite large, but for the purpose of this introduction, I would leave it at that. And of course, let us, come to experience, how magnificent, the panel in general is. Also joining us is Mr. Emeka Oswosha, who is the managing director of Zichuan Technologies, which is the technology arm of PAC Holdings, bringing extensive expertise in IT management, cybersecurity, and business solutions. The last speaker is Mrs. Ibukunoluwa Adekoya, who is a trust officer at PAC Trustees Limited, and of course, she specializes in business development and financial solutions in the capital market. These are the three people that will be sharing with us today and giving us insights. And so at this point, I'm going to leave the floor for Jennifer to take us through the questions and, of course, the beautiful dialogue. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Omolola, thank you so much. What an incredible profile. And I look forward to what the speakers are going to share with us. Yeah. So, but before we start, to set the tone of the conversation, the discussion for today, I would like to ask our speakers. Welcome all of you, Mrs. Adekoya, you're welcome. Mr. Aremu, you're welcome. Mr. Osocha, you're welcome. So to set the tone, I would like to ask the speakers in 1 minute, please, can you share what you understand by smart trust? Mr. Remu, I don't mind if you take this one out. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jennifer. For my end, smart trust, that as you have described, is a way of planning your investments and on estate as well. Then, unlike a normal trust that you have, which is traditional trust using the will and all the likes, smart trust is now incorporates advanced features where you're using digital management, you're using IT, AI to do some of these things. But basically, you are now digitalized because the world is now a global economy. But whichever way, the idea of trust is in two ways. Number one, to manage your legacy that you have ongoing for you, your investment, your estates, and then and thereabouts. Then number two, to preserve it, and all is for a goal, to be able to give it to people coming behind you, to leave a legacy behind you. Now, smart trust now goes to saying that these things can now be done technological wise. It has now been digitalized, and then that's what we're talking about. Because right now, you're having the Gen Z, you're having the Gen Alphas, you're having the Gen Betas. So you are coming to a world whereby we have to come into a place of smart trust, that I don't have to be in the Federal High Court to be able to execute my trust deed. I can do it from wherever I am and with whoever I want to, generally. And I'm happy to be here for PAC Trustees And I appreciate the management for the opportunity. Thank Jennifer.
All right, thank you, Mr. Remo. Thank you. From what you said, Smart Trust is just basically leveraging on digital tools to plan and preserve your assets. So I would like Mr. Adekoya, please, what's your perspective on this?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the warm welcome. When we talk about Smart Trust, it is the use of technology or digital tools in trust activities. And these activities include the setting up of the trust, the management of the trust, the processes, and the execution of the trust assets. So now without compromising the confidentiality required. And when we talk about smart trust, we need to understand the fact that things are no longer the way they are. It is very important to introduce technology into how people carry out businesses now. And now when we leverage on technology, it helps individuals to be able to set up a trust from wherever they are in the world, regardless of their location, such that they can easily set up a trust, they can easily plan their estate and write a will. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Adekoya, for that. Mr. Mika, please, can you please share your insights on what you understand by smart trust? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining this webinar. So, for me, we have seen from what we know so far, in the remarks to this, what the speakers have said, a trust is basically, legal arrangements where one party, known as a guarantor, or for instance, transfers assets to another party, a trustees like PAC Trustees, who then manages those assets on behalf of the third party, who is the beneficiary. So that's the traditional trust we know today. However, when you talk about smart trust, what that then implies is that you're beginning to put a layer of technology on top of the traditional trust. We bring innovative tools like flexibility, control, and protection, to manage those trusts. So a smart trust arrangement leverages technology and customizable features to enhance traditional trust benefits. So really make a trust to be smart. What we refer to smart is such systems should have real-time monitoring. You're using digital platform to monitor investments. You can integrate what you would refer to as tax optimization. So if your smart trust system can use sophisticated tax strategies to minimize tax liabilities for the guarantor and the benefits at the end of the day. So you consider that as a smart trust. So it would be some elements of risk management, incorporating risk management techniques to protect such assets against potential creditors, lawsuits, divorce settlements. So you're using technology to track all these things. Of course, I have mentioned flexibility and control where it is easier to manage and distribute those assets. Importantly, is the fact that you have to integrate cyber security measures on top of such as to safeguard confidential information and increasing confidential information using word of threats across the globe today. And finally, there have to be some elements of intelligent automation, to help streamline financial affairs, reduce administrative burden on the trustees, and ensuring overall efficient management of the trust. Thank you, Jen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Emeka. Thank you to the speakers. They've shared their insights on what they understand by the term smart trust, and it's simply leveraging on technology to ensure that your estate is properly planned. So, moving forward to the next question, I would like to ask Mr. Remu. Mr. Remu, you are an experienced person in the industry, so I want you to share your insights. How is smart trust redefining the traditional legacy planning in the recent time? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Jennifer. That is very, very well said. And let me just say this, that number one, smart trust is redefining legacy planning in number one, it is boosting trust inclusion. It is boosting trust inclusion. If, as at some 2 years ago, just only a few people understand what it means to have a trust for their investments, for their portfolios and all. Right now, with smart trust, many people are now getting to know it better. Then number two, there's flexibility, like what Emeka has said as well. There's flexibility. And besides flexibility is what the world called efficiency. The fact that you can do things easily, appropriately, transparently, and even enjoy doing it. It is amazing. Then again, you understand the fact that it helps to allow easier adjustment or dynamic adjustment to asset management and even investment. So, for example, if you want to adjust your will, your investment, right, what you would have is what they call a codicil. You get a document, you get a paper, you adjust things. Right now, you can do a closed shared drive document, and it's passworded, and everything's on cloud, and you don't have to travel miles to get things done. Things are becoming more efficient. So there's a shift. There's a shift with this, and it has helped to allow transparency and even cost reduction very well, and has been very good. Has made it more efficient as well. Then you look at the fact that the modern approach ensures that legacy planning is even more adaptable and aligns with contemporary needs. And that's one of the ways smart trust is defining legacy planning in today and today's age. Thank you, Jennifer.
All right, Mr. Remu, thank you so much for answering that. From your question, you said smart trust is redefining traditional legacy planning by making it flexible and efficient. So that brings me to Mr. Osocha. So Mr. Osocha, I would like to ask, when it comes to managing trust assets, the issue of efficiency comes to play. So I would like to know, what role does technology play in this, and how can it ensure security, transparency, and efficiency in estate planning? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. We cannot overestimate the role of technology in any sphere of life today. So in all aspects of life, we've seen technology play a very key and important role. For smart trust, there are key technology innovations that really play major roles to bring in transparency, security, and efficiency in smart trust. So one of such technology is blockchain. Blockchain is a decentralized distributed technology that is tamper-proof. It ensures that transactions are recorded and visible to authorized parties. So the authorization is not just dependent on one person, so it's dependent because a distribution of persons. When we talk about persons here, we are not talking about individual. We're basically talking about nodes, machines, servers that cannot be tampered with. So this helps in tracking asset movement and verifying transactions. So transparency is open to everyone to see what is having those machines controlling. Another area also under blockchain technology is security. Because of the distributed nature of blockchain, it makes it highly resistant to hacking and fraud. So if, for instance, confirmation is going to be made by different nodes and not just one. It is absolutely impossible for a hacker to understand the chain of nodes that will, be responsible for such action. In terms of efficiency, blockchain automates and streamlines processes, reducing the need for intermediaries. Another key innovative area that is also helping transparency, security, and efficiency for trust is artificial intelligence. We all agree artificial intelligence, AI, is a buzzword today, so everywhere you hear of this. So specifically for smart trust, AI can automate complex tasks such as risk management, asset management, compliance monitoring. This reduces the administrative burden on trustees and ensure more accurate and timely decision making. AI can also help to analyze large data sets to provide predictive insights and personalized recommendations, helping trustees to manage, assets in line with the uh, guarantors or the trustors goal. So these are innovative technologies that are helping smart trust today. The third one is digital ledgers. Digital ledgers offer real-time transparent process across documents and asset movements, improving accountability and responsiveness. Also, these ledgers are secured with encryption, so tightening security and protecting sensitive information from unauthorized access. Okay, digital ledgers help to maintain ease of tracking of assets, and improve audit trust activities across smart. We also have, of course, cyber security measures that are important in smart trust, which are also innovative technologies that will help you to efficiency and security in smart trust. So we have security measures like multi-factor authentication. Okay, we all know what that is today. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, those technologies were not there. You can easily access, for instance, if you, we all use our banking today. So when you want to make certain transactions, you don't just need your username and password and a PIN. Sometimes you also require to use an additional security code that will be sent to you from the bank. That is multi-factor authentication, okay? So all of these sort of technologies help to protect trust from trust data from cyber security threats and other issues that may threaten security around smart trust. Thank you, Jennifer.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Osocha, for that one. So from what you said so far, technology plays a significant role in ensuring security, efficiency, and transparency by leveraging on some tools like you just mentioned, blockchain and AI and the rest of them. So that brings me, so I want to ask Mr. Aremu, why Mr. Emeka, Mr. Socha has highlighted that technology plays a significant role in this. Do you also think that financial literacy has a role to play in this, in ensuring the success of legacy planning? Can you please share your insights? Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that question. Thank you, Mr. Emeka, for that amazing response. So yes, financial literacy, it plays one of the biggest roles in this. One of the biggest roles it plays in this. And you must understand financial literacy that for every money that comes into your hand, it must first meet a plan in your head for it to last in your hands. So also for you to be able to create a legacy that will outlive you, you must be able to understand finance and understand money. And when you talk about trust in a basic form, let's start with how do you form a trust and what the trust becomes and how it impacts financial literacy. Now, a trust entails three parties. Number one, the settlor, the one who is creating the trust. Number two, you have an intermediary called the trustee, like PAC trustee. They are in the middle. And number three, you have the beneficiary who benefits from the trust. And the intermediary, the trustee, engages the both parties and ensure that a particular document is aligned and adhered to. That document is called the trust deed. It's what guides the document, it's what guides the operation of the trust. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that as people get enlightened about their finances, about how they manage their money, about how they make their money, about how they multiply their money, it is now important to also understand that there is a place for also leaving a legacy with our money behind us, making our money make impact beyond us. So financial literacy plays a large role in successful legacy planning. How you train people, how you teach them, how you bring them to understand what it means to manage money, what it is to make money, what it is to multiply money, and never always forget that money in your hands must always meet a plan in your head for it to last in your hands. So we have several financial literacy principles that helps you to make informed decisions, and making trust decisions are also part of being financially literate to help you make informed and sound decisions, because you see, money will always flow towards value creation or value addition. So also you must understand the fact that your legacy will always remain when you have a trust in place for yourself. And you see, when you now engage financial literacy, you give people the sense of responsibility on how to manage money. And those who are coming behind you must also learn how to manage the money that's coming. Because there's this issue of the first generation dilemma. It says that the first generation of a person, of a people, they work hard, they start to strive out how to break away from poverty. Second generation comes, enjoy the benefits, and also that begin to work on it. They also hard working, and they make so much money. And the third generation now comes, and guess what? We enjoy the wealth that has been made by the first and second generation. Guess what? The first generation that is now coming will make so much wealth that they don't need to work again. That now makes them lazy. They now go back to square one. So being financially literate would help you to be able to understand those places and align appropriately to how to learn how to manage money efficiently and leave a good trust that will outlive you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aremo. So just like Mr. Aremo said, to ensure the success of your legacy planning, financial literacy is important for you to make informed decision. So before I proceed to the next question, which is from Mr. Osocha, Mrs. Adekoya rather, I think this one should go to Ms. Adekoya. Ms. Adekoya, I would want to encourage us to make use of the chat room. Drop your questions and any contributions so far. So Mr. Adekoya, I want to ask, you know, Mr. Aremu had mentioned, he has mentioned how smart trust is redefining estate planning, traditional method of estate planning. And Mr. Osocha has as well also stated like the roles, the use of the technology plays in securing legacy planning. So I want to ask, are there any strategies you can recommend for this to come to play? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I appreciate the fact that Mr. Aremo has spoken about financial literacy. So when we now talk about the strategies you can use to ensure the smooth, intergenerational wealth transfer, I believe there are things we need to understand. And I will start this way by putting a question to everyone. Like, for everyone on this call, I believe we have investments in different investment houses. We have stocks, we have real estate, we have, some people have precious metals and a lot of funds in different banks. But have we for once sat ourselves down to ask ourselves, what is the plan? How do I intend to ensure this wealth transfers to my generations to come or to my immediate beneficiary? Okay, so because it's a different thing to be financially literate, and it's a different thing to say I have put plans in place for easy transfer of your assets. because it is said that true wealth is not measured only by what you're able to accumulate, but by what you are able to pass down to the future generations. So when we now talk about these strategies, this brings us to estate planning. And there are three different tools for estate planning, which is will, trust, and power of attorney. But for the purpose of this discussion, I will be dwelling more on will and trust. So when we talk about will, this is a topic most people give excuses, they shove it aside, and just because they don't understand the harsh reality done on their beneficiaries when they fail to write a will. Because this will is just a legal document, that outlines how a person wants his assets to be distributed after his death. So the thing is, just like I said, is because there's a knowledge gap, people are not informed. Because when you write a will, you have actually successfully create a bridge for easy transfer of this asset to your beneficiary. But when you did not write a will, we call it dying intestate, because this life is actually unpredictable, and having a plan in place is a way of saying I'm protecting the interest of my loved ones. Because these loved ones, if anything happens to you as a settlor, as a settlor or a parent, let me put it that way, they have to go, they need to go to bank to say they want to claim your funds, they want to go to your pension fund, and you as a person, you have not written a will. That is called dying intestate. So they will need to get a probate grant. And for them, they need to get this probate grant. This is what they need to present at the bank or the different institutions I mentioned so far, including even insurance companies. And if you have not written a will, they can't get a probate grant. In this kind of situation, they'll be advised to go seek letter of administration. And we all know the cumbersome processes involved in seeking letter of administration. In fact, it used to take years for people to be able to get the letter of administration, thanks to businesses that took it upon themselves, like PAC registrars that try to help people seek this letter of administration within 6 weeks. But a lot of people don't even know about the businesses like this. So now the question now is, you have failed to write a will. So what happens to your beneficiaries between the window of the passing away of that person and your beneficiaries being able to access the assets? They would have gone through a lot of pains. They would have gone through a lot of family drama, a lot of disputes, even the cost involved in seeking all this letter of administration. For a child that you attend a very expensive school, the family will be forced to take the child to either a government school or a less expensive school. And this is because people are not informed. When you write a will, you are protecting the interest of your loved ones. You are saving them from the drama, the dispute, family disputes. I believe we heard about a recent story of a grandfather who took the grandchild of 26 years to court. I'm trying not to mention the name here, but I believe we all know the story. And the case was thrown out of court because there is a will. And why would you be seeking to be the administrator when there is a will in place? You can see that the person in question has successfully protected the interest of his beneficiaries. So, and the good thing about it is PAC Trustees have even made it a lot easier by introducing technology into how you can easily draft or write a will. We have a web app that allows you to, from anywhere you are in the world, be able to draft a will within 5 minutes, irrespective of what that asset you have is. For someone that already, you are working, you are getting paid, part of the money is going to the pension fund. It is very important that you have a will in place. It is called planning, legacy planning. So now that is for will. So now let's talk about trust. So when we talk about trust, I don't know if one of the speakers, say exactly what trust is. It's just an arrangement whereby a settlor gives a certain asset to a trustee to hold on his or her behalf for the benefit of his beneficiaries. So when we talk about trust now, it's an automatic distribution of the assets to your beneficiaries, because there is a trust deed. Each time you create a trust, there is a trust deed that guides how that asset will be managed, and even the distribution to your beneficiaries. So it's an automatic, the trust deed allows us to automatically transfer the asset to the beneficiary. There is no probate involved when you set up a trust. So this one even is a legacy plan, is a estate planning tool that even supersedes a will, because it's an automatic transfer, and there are a lot of benefits involved when you create a trust. You're practically preserving your wealth, protecting your assets from creditors, taxes that are involved when probacy is just, you're trying to get the probate grounds, and you are ensuring that there's continuity of these assets, of your wealth, to generations to come. And this trust even promotes family harmony, because there are hardly issues of family disputes, because all these provisions have been made when this trust when the trust deed is being drafted, to ensure that everybody is well taken care of and there's no drama. And one good thing about the trust deed is it is binding anywhere in Nigeria, because it is usually stamped by the Federal High Court. So there are barely issues whereby you have to take the trustee to the courts, or because you are not comfortable with what is written there. And even if that happens, that the beneficiary, one of the family is saying they're not satisfied, we go the arbitration way rather than litigation. So, and this trust can be created based on your objective. If you are concerned about your child, you want the child to be able to achieve all the academic goals, either while you're alive or when you are no longer alive, you can set up an education trust. If you have special needs kids, you can create a trust to ensure that they are well taken care of, even when the guardian is no longer alive. You can use this trust to protect all your assets, the totality of your assets, such that creating a living trust, because there are different trusts you can create based on this. Your objective, based on what you think the challenge is, because some people are concerned about, what happens to my assets when I'm no longer there. So I don't want it to be mismanaged. I want it to continue, to generations to come, and you want to even be able to give to the needy. You can set up a living trust in this case. And one good thing about a living trust is that the moment you set up this living trust, wherever your asset is notified. Any institution, be it insurance, be it the banks, be it your pension fund, they are all notified that, this is now my trustee, and if anything happens to you, they are instructed to move all these funds into your trust fund. And you can even use it to ensure your wealth is growing, using a target investment trust, so that this asset is in a trust, and there's the feature of the automatic transfer of this asset to your beneficiary is there. Okay, so now, and one good thing is, all these trusts can be set up, through PAC Trustees web app, because we have introduced technology.
I was having this conversation with someone, and we were talking about trust, and the person was like, he made the statement that he cannot set up trust that is majorly for ultra wealthy people, and that it's a bit complex. That makes me to believe that there will be so many other people having the same misconceptions rather. So I would like you to share with us like common misconceptions concerning this trust and legacy planning and the effect that it has. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. So there are a lot of misconceptions actually around setting up a trust. Just like the one you mentioned, the person, some feel is very expensive, but this trust can be set up in different structures, and it has even been simplified to ensure that everybody can actually set up a trust, based on your objective. So it depends on the trust you are setting up for you that will determine the cost. And coming to talk about the cost for a living trust, people feel you have to transfer, you have to do a change of name of that asset to the trustees, and this is very costly when you go to the land bureau. So we have been able to find solutions to this, such that these assets, the tangible assets, which is the real estate, can be put in a will, and the liquid asset in trust. And again, you can also even do a deed of gift or give power of attorney to trustees, so that you don't have to go through the cost and all that. So simply, the trust can be created by everybody. And there's also some other misconceptions, such that some people feel that it's like insurance. Their trustees are like insurance. The reality is, where the power of where the role of insurance stops is where trustees' role starts from. Because when we talk about probacy, trust does not require privacy, but for insurance, privacy is required. And when we talk about the payouts, once the payout is done in insurance, that's the end. They are not concerned about the management of the money. But for trustees, they ensure that the interest of the underage is protected, so that when the trust is even being created, there is a physical guardian and financial guardian, appointed for that child to ensure that what is stated in the trust deed is carried out accordingly for the child until the child is of age, and then the assets can be transferred, can be given to the child to manage by his or herself. So these are some of the misconceptions. Because of our time, I believe probably we'll talk about this in some other webinar, what's it called, discussions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dekoya, for that. You mentioned a lot, and I encourage the audience as well, just like Mr. Dekoya mentioned. These things have been put in place for you by PAC Trustees. Please do well to leverage on that. So, Mr. Osocha, I want to reconnect with you again. It's good to have you back on this course. So, I would want to ask Mr. Mika, we want to take we want to take a step back to the future and look at the bigger picture of this whole thing, this whole discussion that we've been having. I want to know, do you foresee AI replacing trusts or trustees in the industry or whatever? So please, can you please help me shed more light to this? Thank you.
Thank you for that interesting question. Okay. A lot of people, especially in the workplace, are afraid of what AI can or cannot do. And so the question of whether AI will take over certain workforce tends to threaten most people in the workplace. For smart trust in the traditional models, what we have seen is that AI smart trusts are really transforming the landscape of trust management. Okay, it's unlikely that they will completely replace traditional tools or trustees in the near future. Okay, so instead, they are more likely to complement and enhance traditional processes. And there are reasons why many experts believe in the complementary and collaborations that we're going to see in the near future between smart trust and AI. So what we see is some form of enhancements and complementary role around efficiency and automation. We discussed various ways AI can enhance smart process activity, doing routine tasks, checking risk assessment, freeing up trustees to concentrate and focus on complex and strategic decisions and all that, and streamlining and administrative processes. So that's one area you will see complementary roles playing between smart trust and AI. Another key area is in decision making. So because of the huge data set that is going to be valuable through smart trust. So you would need to be able to analyze those huge data sets and make predictions, make useful insights, and obviously take informed decisions. So you see that complementary on we earlier talked about transparency and security. So you see enhancements and collaboration around these areas. But when you look at the trust business very critically, you will see that there are some areas that AI will not clearly be able to take over. That's like human judgment, for instance. So because risk management often involve nuanced decisions that require human judgment, empathy, understanding of family dynamics, So we do not see AI being able to fully take over this role in the near future. So, another area also is in interpreting the trustor's intention, okay, and understanding and putting into consideration changes, circumstances, and which may require human touch. AI is not likely to be able to replace that bit of cross business. So you will continue to see traditional cross filling in those gaps. There are also ethical and legal considerations, okay, because the use of AI in cost management raises some ethical and legal questions such as data privacy. So the AI we use today, that we feed data into how do we ensure that all of those data that we are feeding in there are protected and we meet the trusters' expectation. Okay, so those are areas. There is also what we call algorithm bias. So whatever AI is doing, for instance, is based on certain algorithm. So if that algorithm is written in a way to predict an outcome in a certain pattern, it will obviously follow it. But human judgment does not work like that. So human judgment would have natural feelings that AI is unable to bring into consideration. So in the future, while AI and smart trust will continue to evolve and play significant role in trust management, the human element will remain very essential. So trustees will likely need to adapt by integrating these technologies into practice, enhancing their capability rather than replacing them entirely. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Osecha. So while AI is not going to replace the trustees, they need to form like a synergy to keep adapting to the changes technological advancement is bringing. So thank you very much for that. So that brings me back to Mr. Aremu. So Mr. Aremu, we've talked so much, we've discussed so much, had so much discussion, enlightened discussion today. But then, and I've also noticed and observed that this topic is relevant to all ages. It's not just for old, it's not just for young people. Do you understand? Okay. So talking about that now, how do we get our younger generation? How do we encourage them? I mean, it's a little bit hard already to, get the older ones to write a will or even get their estate in place. Then we're not talking about the younger generations. I mean, they're already financially savvy. A lot of them are involved in crypto and the rest of it. But then how can we encourage them? So as a professional, how can we encourage them to embrace legacy planning? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Jennifer, and well done to the team for the questions. So from my end, let me tell you something. Anytime you hear the word draw up a will, draw up a trust, the first thing people think about is death. And am I dying? Calm down. I met a young couple, a young lady years ago, and she told me her story. I did her story. I met her at the young lady at about 25, 26 years old of age. What happened to her? She and her husband, she got married to this guy, was struggling. They worked. After like a year or two, the glory of God, they started having assets, started doing well in business, started doing well at work, and all. Then all of a sudden, at the point where they started breaking through, the husband died. And at this time, they already had like a 2-year-old daughter. This happened, and the family of the husband came that away everything, leaving the woman back as president with a daughter to manage. Imagine if the man had a proper legacy planning in place through a trust. You see, the future of that child would have been secured, number one. The future of the wife would have been secured, number two. A legacy would have been created. for the man to live well even after his death, even at a young age. What I'm saying is that, yes, people say, oh, next of kin, they don't care, they will do your money anyhow. But please leave the legacy for the right next of kin. People who you hold dear to your heart. And you see, it's not about how old you are, really. You start with the level that you are. You have, number one, as a young person, how to encourage a young person, number one, you train a young person to have what I call a legacy mindset. I started talking to my wife recently, like some months, some weeks ago, about the fact that I'm already thinking about my children's school fees in their university. I have two children. Number one, I have one, the girl, the first person, the girl, 8 years old. My son, second born, and my last born too, is a boy, 6 years old. And I'm saying that I'm thinking about their school fees in the university, and they are just in their basic 4 and basic 2. I'm telling you that I'm thinking legacy. Live something that will live behind me. So the first thing is to start with a legacy mindset. Everybody here on this call, you start with a legacy mindset. And when you go after that, you take a step further to have what they call talk to a trustee. And we have many trustee firms, and PAC Trustees is one of the premium trustees in the industry. They've been here for a long time. They are tried and tested and trusted. And I believe that you get the best with them. So please talk to a trustee. Start talking to a trustee from any level that you have. Start small. Start from where you are. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Second best time is now. You may not have a brand new beginning, but you can start now and have a brand new ending. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Aremu, for that. So it is important for us to know that it is not just for the older people to plan their estates. Even you, as you're young, can start now. It is never too late to start. So thank you to the speakers for this wonderful discussion. But before that, before we proceed to the next session, because I can see a lot of questions in the chat room, before we proceed to that, I would like to ask our speakers, please, is there any key takeaway that you will leave our audience with? Mr. Meka, I don't know if you don't mind starting. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that question. Thank you, Mr. Reno and Mrs. Dekoya, for all the beautiful responses that you guys provided. So, yes, it's important that perhaps we categorize the people in the audience. So we have older ones. So let's leave some words behind for every, category of persons that are here. Number one, that I would like to advise for the older ones here is create a will. So we must ensure that a legally binding will outlines how we want our assets to be distributed is in place. 2, establish a trust. Consider setting up a trust to manage and protect all the assets and reduce estate taxes and all. That is what PAC Trustees is here to provide using their smart trust platform that we can easily navigate to from their website. Okay. Then for also, it's important that you consider your well-being. So, think about your health directives. You can prepare a healthcare directive from the company to ensure that your medical and financial well-being is taken care of if you unfortunately or suddenly become stated. This is very important. And when you have done all of this, don't forget to regularly review and update those documents that may be required. For the younger ones, it is time to start investing wisely. One of the early investment decisions that we can make is to consider setting up an asset or trust with PAC Trustees, start planning for your retirement as you are taking off your workplace. Continue to learn. PAC Trustees is there as an expert to guide you, educate you in your personal finance, investment, estate planning, and all of that. Protect your assets, avoid high interest debts, and always seek professional advice from the experts. So we keep reiterating that this is what PAC Trustees provide for all of us in the audience here. Stay informed of changes in policies, government tax laws, and financial markets. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Osocha. Thank you for that key takeaway for us. So, Mr. Dekoya, like, do you have any advice, be it young, old? What advice do you have for them?
Thank you so much. I believe Mr. Remu and Mr. Emeka have said it already. It is very important to start early. Lots of people wish they have someone to tell them this. And most importantly, create a financial plan. You can use a target investment to ensure that you protect this asset and for easy transfer to your beneficiaries. And ensure you write a will or set up a trust. You are protecting this asset. And it's very important for you to review your beneficiaries and your assets from time to time. So just like this quote says, the legacy you leave is the life you lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Adekoya. Thank you so much. Mr. Aremu, I don't know if you have anything to add to this.
Yes, I just want to say that it is time for us to embrace technology. It's time to embrace smart trust. And I want to ask you a question, and that is this. What do you want to be remembered for? What do you want to be remembered for? What legacy do you want to leave? You want to leave a legacy of chaos when you pass? You want to leave a legacy of celebration when you pass? The choice is not up to anybody. The choice is up to you. Start from wherever you are and think about the future. God bless you.
Yeah, what do you want to be remembered for? So thank you so much to the panelists. I mean, it has been quite an engaging session so far, and I appreciate each and every one of you, and I say thank you. So on this, my key takeaway is that start now to plan your future, and please do leverage the services of PAC Trustees Limited. We are there to meet all your needs. Thank you so much. So we'll be moving over to the next session, which is the Q&A session. So I'll be handing over to
All right, thank you very much, Jennifer. Honestly, to say that I've been empowered, is the list. It's been quite an interesting session, and of course, yes, we are fast behind, or we're way behind the time, so we're just going to keep it short, and hopefully our panelists would also respond to the questions that we have. And so I'm going to take a deep I'm going to dive into that, and starting with the first question that we have in the Q&A chat is from Oluwapemi Adekunle, and our question is, can digital assets like cryptocurrency be included in a trust? If so, how? And I believe Mrs. Adekoya is in the best place to respond to that. Would you consider cryptocurrency an asset, to be included in a trust? And if so, how is that possible?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Okay, so when we talk about creating a trust, there's something we ask for, you have to declare your assets. There is a declaration asset form you have to fill to state all your assets. So if you have a cryptocurrency, because for younger generations, they have more of digital assets. So you have to you have to tell us which of these coins you have. If you have several of them, you have to list them. And most importantly, because it is actually possible to put, your digital assets in a trust. So one thing you have to do is ensure that the trust company you are using, has the knowledge of digital assets. Because for you to put your digital assets in a trust, even the trust company must probably have a wallet that they use to hold all these digital assets. Because you as a person, for you to put this in trust, you have to value that coin, know the value, then you probably move it to the trust wallet. And I would say it is possible, but just ensure that the trust company is knowledgeable enough. I'll keep it that
All
way.
right.
Thank you.
I think that's well said. Now to the next question, which would be taken by Mr. Emeka or Sosha. Is it safe? This is from Khadija Yerima. Is it safe to manage trusts, legacy planning digitally, considering cybersecurity risk? And I think that's a very valid question. I mean, these days you hear about how, a number of persons get to lose their assets online. In fact, even financial banking, or should I say, fintechs, right? You hear how they get to hack into their accounts, and of course, a lot of funds are taken. And so, taking into consideration cybersecurity risk, Mr. Emeka, is it safe to manage trust and legacy planning digitally? If so, why do you think so? What's the justification for that? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. And I would answer you straight that yes, it is very, life is very dynamic in nature. And where we are today, it is, if not impossible, absolutely difficult to live without digital devices. So what that means is that life itself is becoming digital in nature, right? So your financial operations are all digitized. Your trust services are now being digitized. What one should really consider in doing this is to identify a trustee that has put in place a system, a smart trust system that is highly secure. In the course of this discussion, I've mentioned some of the security features that such a system should have. So blockchain is one that must be leveraged on to ensure that it is highly resistant for hackers and fraudulent activities to easily penetrate through that platform using the distributed nature of the law for transaction transparency, for accountability, for approvals. So you are really encouraged to use digital means to manage your trust, especially in this age. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And it's safe to share or to remember that, the reason why technology is being advocated for is because it affords you the opportunity to do these things seamlessly. There's flexibility, there's transparency. It's even easy for you to actually hold your trusted company, accountable. And of course, it affords you the opportunity to see it all. And so, again, thank you very much, Mr. Emeka. Now, moving on to Mr. Shegun Musa, I would like to take two questions, if that's fine. The first question is, how can trust help avoid family disputes over inheritance? You talked about how it helps to ensure you don't leave a legacy of chaos. I think Adenike Oluwatosin's question is, how can trust help avoid family disputes over inheritance? Now, the second question that I would want you to also address is Chinonso Inweke's question. Does the court or federal government have right to revoke a trust regardless of the individual's history? I would appreciate your feedback on this. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm writing down the question. Okay. Yes, for you to leave a proper legacy that will not leave chaos, number one, make it concise. Make it transparent, make it simple to understand. And very importantly, just carry a trustee along. And when a trustee is carried along, you have to create what they call the trust deed. That trust deed is what states your intention and everything you want the trust to be about. And once it is stamped, it becomes law. It becomes law and is binding. So with that, there's nobody that can contest anything. So you are safe and secure. So with that, there's no chaos about who is this, who is that. It's what the law has framed, because the law can be enforced. So if you are not now accepting, we will call police to carry you. They will enforce it. So they're there to enforce the law, to tell you how much power you have. I've been involved in where they call the police to go and eject some people from a particular house because they were not in this document. You get? So that is what it is. Now that brings us to the other one. Can it be argued or revoked by a federal high court? So yes, there are factors. There are what they call vitiating factors in business law that can say why something can be revoked. Maybe you check, maybe the person that is when he was insane or was under duress when he was doing it. All those things can vitiate the contract and make it null and void ab initio. Yes, and with that it can be revoked. But if every other thing is in place, the court stamps it, is trusted, no court will fight it, because it was even the court that gave you the acceptance in the first place. Only when you can prove that the condition under which it was done was not right. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now, the next question is for Mrs. Adekoya. Mubola mentioned that Mrs. Adekoya mentioned that a trust deed is stamped by the Federal High Court, and of course, he or she would like to confirm what the process to execute this is. Though I recommend you reach out to PAC Trustees, but Mrs. Adekoya, I would appreciate if you could take the second part of it, which is a trust deed to be stamped by both FIRS and at the Federal High Courts. And I believe FIRS has to do with tax. So I guess that's one thing. Then also the second question, which is from Jimmy. Jimmy says he believes that will takes effect upon the passing of an individual. So when can a private trust deed take effect? And so I believe that question is trying to address the different instruments that you've identified, will and trust. So he has established that, okay, that happens after a person dies, but for the trust, right, can the person who initiated the trust be alive, and then of course the beneficial of course taps into it. And so those are the two questions that I would want you to address briefly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So for the first one, talking about if the trust deed is stamped at both Federal High Court and FIRS, it is only stamped at the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Okay, so for the second question, talking about the fact that a will speaks from death. So when can the trust deed take effect? Okay, so the trust deed takes effect. Let me put it this way: when you are setting up a trust, you are alive when you're setting it up. And that's why we call it a living trust. No matter the trust you're setting up, it's a living trust. You're alive when you set it up. And when you're alive, you give us instruction as to, management of that trust. You keep giving us instruction. So when you are no longer alive is when the trustees go back to the trust deed to carry out the instruction stated on the trust deed. So, but when you're alive, you give us instruction. You keep giving us instruction. It's only when you're no longer alive that we now follow the trust deed strictly. I hope I'm able to answer this question, because I believe I can see that the moderator is.
Yes. The reason is because so I mean, in a situation, take for instance, you have the education trust, right? I, as a parent, I decide to set up an education trust for my child, and I'm like, okay, once my child clocks, let's say 18 years, the child can, or when the child goes to university, right? Wouldn't I be alive at that time? And so that's where the confusion is. A trust deed, right, is set up for, I mean, you stated that you have trust, you have will. I guess for both of them, you still have to set up a trust deed. Is that it? And so, subject to the timeline for effect and all that, it then takes effect. I hope you understand where the confusion is here, based on.
Okay, I believe we are still saying the same thing because what I explained the other time is I was talking about a living trust. Well, even when it comes to education trust, there are two ways to it. Is either you're planning, you're putting the funds there for a long period of time that, okay, if anything happens to me, these funds will be used to complete the education of this child or something. But you can set it up to ensure that you are able to pay fees yearly for the child. So when you give us this, when you send us when you tell us, please pay a certain amount from this child education trust to this school, you're giving us an instruction. So you are alive and you're giving us the instruction. Meanwhile, you still have funds in that trust. And should in case anything happens to you, in case of eventualities, then we go to the trust to give the funds, the assets to the beneficiaries, or ensure that this is, we're talking about education trust here, we ensure that they are able to achieve all the, knowing fully well that you're not even alive again.
Okay.
Have I been able
Okay.
to answer your question?
I think so. I think so. So subject to the circumstance stated in the deed, that's what then applies. I believe that sorts that out. Thank you very much, and of course, I would like to especially thank all the speakers for making out the time to join us today. It's been a very robust conversation, and of course, for me, that I would say that, I mean, there's so much takeaway, right? Leverage technology, in order to achieve inclusion, flexibility, transparency, adaptation, adjustments, and of course, protection. And there are several tools that you can use: the blockchain, the cybersecurity measures, the digital ledgers, and all of these things. Again, the future is smart, and so it's very important that you key in with a partner like PAC Trustees that leverages smart solutions to ensure that, yes, your trust is in place. And of course, yes, another key takeaway is the fact that financial literacy is important. It is important that you have an understanding of finance and of course money to ensure a successful legacy planning. And honestly, I would like to emphasize the fact that it is easy to put in place certain legacy, but if the person that comes after, and I think that was what Mr. Aremu also emphasized in this conversation, the person that comes after to take that thing up, if the person is not financially literate, oh well, that can be a dilemma, speaking about the fourth generation dilemma. And of course, yes, there are different tools for estate planning. We talked about will, we talked about trust, and of course, yes, hopefully PAC Trustees will share more with us in the future on the power of attorney. And of course, you can of course follow them at PAC Trustees Ltd on Instagram and LinkedIn for you to learn more about the trust business itself. And of course, yes, please, a key one: do not leave a legacy of chaos to your family. And yes, you need to start with a legacy mindset. Tell yourself, I want to put a plan in place. And of course, talk to PAC Trustees. I'm not even going to tell you any trustees, but talk to PAC Trustees. And of course, start from where you are. And again, on a closing note, the question is, one question I would want us to go away with is, what do you want to be remembered for? And I think that's germane. And of course, take action today. Once again, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been a pleasure moderating this session, co-moderating the session with Jennifer. And of course, I believe that, this session, has lived up to expectation and in fact exceeded it. Thank you, everyone. And of course, this is me saying, do have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you, Molola. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to the speakers. Please do have a lovely day.